The deal itself is massive, not just in dollar value, but in vision. Millions over 2 years, a mix of media appearances, brand collaborations, and promotional events that stretch far beyond the basketball court. Nike Golf, Titleist, and even LPGA broadcasters have already lined up campaigns spotlighting her as the new face of crossover athletics. But what really shook the sports world wasn't the number on the contract, it was the symbolism. Caitlin Clark isn't just another athlete cashing in. She's become a brand that redefines how women's sports are marketed, how athletes are perceived, and how fame is distributed in an industry that's been starved for mainstream attention. The LPGA recognized what the WNBA still can't seem to grasp. Caitlin Clark is lightning in a bottle. She represents not only talent, but transformation. Every arena she steps into sells out. Every network that airs her games breaks ratings records. Every brand that partners with her gains something money can't buy: authenticity and cultural momentum. So when the LPGA swooped in with open arms, they didn't just get a basketball player dabbling in golf. They got a phenomenon who could make golf trend on TikTok, make casual fans care, and make the sport look fresh again. Meanwhile, back in the WNBA, the mood was far less celebratory. A'ja Wilson, a legend in her own right, 2-time MVP, back-to-back champion, saw her name trending again, but not for the reason she'd like. Her tweet, laced with sarcasm and resentment, cut through social media like wildfire. "So you telling me you can miss shots and still get golf money now?" It was only 10 words, but it said everything. The frustration, the jealousy, the fatigue of constantly being overshadowed by someone newer, younger, and more marketable. Within minutes, fans flooded her replies, accusing her of bitterness, insecurity, and envy. Others defended her, saying she had every right to feel overlooked. But no matter the side, everyone was talking, and Caitlin Clark was once again at the center of the storm. And maybe that's what stings the most for A'ja Wilson and players like her. For years, she carried the WNBA on her back. She won titles, earned accolades, showed up for every media opportunity the league offered. And still, she couldn't command the kind of crossover appeal that Clark did in less than a year. Clark walks into the league, and suddenly corporations, networks, and fans are acting like women's basketball was just invented. It's not fair, but it's real. Because the modern game isn't just about skill, it's about story. It's about who can make the world feel something. And that's where Caitlin Clark reigns supreme. This LPGA deal wasn't just a contract, it was a statement. It told every brand watching that Clark is bigger than basketball. She's an ambassador of energy, youth, and accessibility. The LPGA didn't just invite her to a tournament, they built an entire event around her, pairing her with Nelly Korda, the world's #1 golfer. The result? Ticket sales spiked. Television coverage was added. Hashtags trended. Fans who had never watched golf before suddenly tuned in just to see her swing a club. She didn't even have to play perfectly. Her presence alone turned it into a spectacle. And that's exactly what A'ja's tweet inadvertently confirmed. Caitlin Clark doesn't have to be flawless to dominate the headlines. She just has to show up. That kind of effortless magnetism can't be manufactured. It's the kind of power that frustrates traditionalists, those who believe legacy should be earned strictly through championships, not charisma. But what the WNBA's veterans often fail to realize is that fame isn't a pie, it's a spark. And Caitlin has ignited it for everyone, whether they want to admit it or not. Still, envy has a way of clouding logic. A'ja Wilson, by all accounts, is an icon, but she's also human. Watching the media, brands, and even casual fans celebrate Clark while she fights for equal recognition must sting. It's the same emotional cocktail we've seen in every era of sports. The passing of the torch always comes with resistance. Serena Williams faced it in tennis. Tiger Woods faced it in golf. LeBron James faced it in the NBA. Greatness always disrupts comfort zones. Caitlin Clark's rise is no different. The irony is that the LPGA handled the moment with grace, the kind of grace the WNBA desperately needs. They didn't turn it into controversy. They didn't try to control the narrative. They simply celebrated her for what she is, a unifying figure who makes people care. The WNBA, on the other hand, continues to trip over its own insecurities. Instead of amplifying Caitlin's reach, it lets internal rivalries and social media squabbles dominate the conversation. The league that should be using her success to elevate all players is instead watching its stars divide themselves in public view. A'ja's tweet could have been a rallying cry for better marketing, better pay, and better exposure for all players. Instead, it became another headline about jealousy. And that's the tragedy of this entire saga. It keeps turning sisterhood into competition. The real enemy isn't Caitlin Clark. It's the system that fails to promote women's sports as a united front. The LPGA proved how powerful unity can be. They embraced Caitlin and everyone won, fans, sponsors, and athletes alike. The WNBA still hasn't learned that lesson. As for Caitlin Clark, she's playing a completely different game. She doesn't respond to the noise. She doesn't clap back or subtweet. She lets her contracts, her fans, and her composure do the talking. That quiet professionalism has become her sharpest weapon. While others argue online, she's out there shaking hands with CEOs, signing multi-sport deals, and redefining what an athlete's brand can look like. Every tweet thrown at her just amplifies her presence. Every headline meant to criticize her only makes her more valuable, and that's what makes her so dangerous. Not just to rivals, but to an entire sports hierarchy that's struggling to evolve. Caitlin Clark isn't waiting for the system to catch up. She's building her own. Basketball, golf, fashion, tech. She's turning every lane into a highway. By the time her critics realize what's happening, she'll be a global empire, not just a player. So the question now isn't whether A'ja Wilson's frustration was justified. The real question is how long the WNBA can afford to let its stars tear each other down while other leagues step in and profit from their absence. The LPGA just gave the world a masterclass in collaboration. The WNBA, meanwhile, is giving a crash course in self-sabotage. What happens next could define the future of women's sports. Will the league finally rally behind its brightest star and harness her fame for collective growth? Or will it keep letting envy write the narrative? One thing's for sure, Caitlin Clark isn't slowing down. She's too focused, too strategic, and too far ahead. The LPGA saw it. The sponsors saw it. And now the world sees it too. But what about you? Do you think A'ja Wilson's reaction came from genuine frustration or pure jealousy? Should the WNBA embrace Caitlin's rise instead of fighting it? And most importantly, can women's sports ever unite under one banner of success? Or are they doomed to keep repeating the same cycle of rivalry? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're tired of seeing great athletes torn down for shining too bright. And make sure you subscribe for more stories that dig deeper into the power, politics, and passion driving today's biggest sports dramas.